Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the June 3rd, 2019 meeting of the Shawnee Planning Commission. We'll begin with roll call. Commissioner Montgomery.
Here.
Commissioner Roth.
Here.
Commissioner Peterson.
Here.
Commissioner Willoughby is absent. Commissioner Beanhoff.
Here.
Commissioner Busby is here. Commissioner Wise.
Here.
Commissioner Braley.
Here.
Commissioner Les Smith is absent. Commissioner Mudgett.
Here.
Commissioner John Smith.
Here.
Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The consent agenda items listed under the consent agenda items. That didn't make any sense. My apologies. Under the consent agenda, unless there is a request to remove an item from the consent agenda, the item will be approved in one motion. Is there a request to remove an item from the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Commissioner Beanhoff.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the consent agenda as submitted by staff.
Is there a second? Commissioner Wise?
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. On to new business. SP 131906, Parkway Village Lot 3, proposing to construct a new professional office and retail building located at 19,600 block of West 65th Terrace.
Good
Doug.
evening, Doug Allman from Community Development staff. Stephanie apologizes that she cannot be here tonight. She's taken ill and is at home. This item would have been eligible for our consent agenda. There was a discrepancy in the setback of the south parking lot curb line from the south property line. From Friday to today, we worked through that issue with the applicant. We actually have a revised drawing of that. I may be going over the podium. But with that revision, the plan and everything, we are in agreement with the approval. The architecture of the building is good. The landscaping is very good. And the main thing that we were going to talk about tonight was that south property setback line that would have required a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals. And in light of having that, we would just open it up to questions that you guys may have. And I believe the applicant is here as well to answer any questions that you may have.
I think it'd be normal. I think it'd prove us best if we had the applicant come forward, because then he can okay the recommendation. If you come forward and state your name and address. And in case you didn't notice, we're giggling up here a little bit. There is a bird in the ceiling up here we can hear tweeting. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah. Then you were in agreement with staff recommendations on the project? Thank you. Does the commission have any questions for staff or applicant? Commissioner Beanhoff.
A question for staff. On the report, it mentions that the property is to the north is Johnson Drive in the background?
That is not correct, obviously. It's on 65th Street, which is a private street, privately designated street. So that's a typo, obviously.
Okay, thank you. And then, so what did we do to come to resolution?
If you can see the drawing that's on your monitor now, that setback originally had been incorrectly drawn at 10 feet. Because of the dimensioning of the lot, they had some extra width to their driveway in front of the building. and they had some stall depth that they could reduce and still meet our code requirements. So essentially, they gained that 5 foot back by skinnying up some parking, skinnying up the driveway stall. I think they lost 1 foot off of a 6 foot wide sidewalk. So it's still wide enough in front of the building to meet ADA and all of those requirements. So
And the parking spaces are still deep enough to,
yes,
for vehicles?
18 with an overhang. Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions for applicant or staff? I have one question, and that is the condition of the additional rooftop screening. I don't remember us having that as another issue, and I'm kind of surprised. I would think
We have put that in other conditions before. In this case, we have a parapet wall, and there's a little bit of grade change, even though the lot is flat. I think the concern is that if we get out there on final inspection and still can see some of the rooftop unit itself, we'll go to additional screening measures. They make units that actually affix to the rooftop unit itself, which would be adequate. I honestly, in this case, don't think that that's going to be an issue, but we have placed that in staff reports before, especially when there's grade changes.
so. There wouldn't be any problem with it adding more weight or more, essentially, wind pickup to it, to where it would change what plans need to be drawn for that.
No, and
Okay.
we would make sure that it followed whatever building code was required. Those, they call them dog houses, but they're not. They're integrated screen walls that attach to the unit themselves, are very common. And in this case, with the roof design, I don't think there's going to be an issue with seeing anything.
Thank you, Doug. Commissioner Wise.
Question on the roof, because of the butterfly roof, so it says the RTUs are screened by the roof, but is there really a parapet with those clear stories, or how does that work?
It's actually, I would call it a false penthouse, where you have a barrel, half barrel design, and they're going to set inside that penthouse and be screened.
Thank you.
Any other questions for applicant or staff? If not, thank you very much. That would put us in commission discussion. Commissioner Peterson.
First of all, I wanted to thank staff for putting this together and looking out for those things, because the butterfly roof is a new version, and it's new to me, and I really like the way it looks, and the superior building materials is really going to look really nice. It's not going to be, I have nothing against industrial, but it just puts a really nice face on it, and thank you for paying attention to detail.
We're still in commission discussion. If there's no more discussion, would someone care to make a motion? Commissioner Wise.
You have the item details. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve SP 13-19-06 Parkway Village Lot 3, construction of a new professional office retail building located at the 19600 block of West 65th Terrace. Per staff recommendations.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner John Smith? There's a motion and a second for approval of SP 13-19-06 Parkway Village Lot 3, construction of a professional office and retail building located at 19,600 block of West 65th Terrace. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. That puts us on to other business.
Staff has no other business tonight for the commission.
And the lights coming through.
Does the commission have any business for staff? Doug, we just saw something happen up here that I wonder if the staff could take into consideration, and that is, as they move their screens around, if they don't get the piece of paper, then looking for the site plan or that to read that off. And I wonder if maybe they couldn't have a single sheet printed out with the site plan or whatever motions we're going over.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, we'll have that's a simple solution. We're kind of learning as we go through this. So that's that's a good idea.
But we found that if you're a really good computer guy, that you can find it real quick.
Well, I was trying, but decided not to take the time to get it on my phone. So I just grabbed your paper.
So other than that, is there any other business for the staff? A couple interesting things then. I told you, Mark, I could really get long-winded if I need to. Thursday's Royals game happens to be on the 75th anniversary of D-Day. The honored guest for the Royals happens to be Ben Nix, which Ben Nix is a World War II pilot that was in the Pacific. He happened to be in the same squadron or same division as Tibbets, who flew the Enola Gay. He's 100 years old, and I think he's throwing out the first pitch, which is an honor for Shawnee and an honor for D-Day. Next thing is, Old Shawnee Days is this weekend. If you don't have anything to do after the parade, you're welcome to come to Sister Cities Park and enjoy a bratwurst and a cold drink with the Sister City Committee. And we have 4 people from Belgium will be in town coming Wednesday night. I'm done. Commissioner Braley.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Roth. Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We're done. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, when I saw it.